Hello everyone, and welcome to another News Coolum video, and I hope you're ready for a Magna Charge follow-up, Magna Charge 2 electric Boogaloo. So I might have misspoken in my last video, and also just again a thanks. Now I'm going to forget the code again. I think Ron, you had mentioned it was a 1030, NEMA 1030, and it is actually the third leg is the neutral. So it was wired correctly. I just don't have that prong available. But I might have been wrong about how many of these Magna Charge units I have. And so I might need to pop the trunk door and without any sort of spoilers, right? Because well, one, there's this little clip, 110-volt clip on the back here on the bumper. I'm gonna need to get in and under the bumper. Hello. Yes. Am I disturbing you? Yeah? Okay. And here is Ursula to inspect. Yeah, so there's this 110 clip on the back that I'm assuming is a direct charger, right? A lot of people were modifying these in ways that they could bypass the Magna charge. And I saw some hardware in the back, and there was some covers and whatnot. And I assumed that it was the charger for this. So I was going to go validate and see how all of that worked. But I opened the door and I found something entirely different. So I haven't gone through it all, so I can't even give you a total spoiler. But I can show you what I found. And the thing is, I need a place to stow them because I don't want to leave it in the back here. It gets super hot in the summer, easily a couple hundred degrees inside the car. I say easily, but up to a couple hundred degrees inside the car in peak summer, especially with all that glass. And so I want a place to store them, but I also don't want them to get exposed to any other kitty inspectors, maybe. Are you trying to make biscuits on my arm? That's not what you do. Let's take a look inside. Yeah. Jackpot. So yeah, I saw this. This is a fan opening. And this goes underneath. And I think this fan housing, I'm just spitballing here. So, you can let me know what you think. Maybe I'm on something, maybe I'm off something. I'm going to turn this so there's an address on there. I don't want that to show up on camera. But so this is a Kurt trailer. Looks like a standard 2-inch. It's pretty heavy duty for one of these RAV4s, but I know people push them pretty hard. So this is a 4,000 pound trailer capacity, 400 pound tongue limit. So yeah, this is a fair. I mean, I wouldn't even tow 4,000 pound. I don't think in those Ford Ranger electrics, and they literally have twice the power and are about 1,000 pounds heavier than this RAV4 EV. I guess I had dropped some fuses on the ground when I opened the door. I didn't realize it. See, some stuff is already sort of just kind of coming out. But yeah, so that just looks like a standard PCB board. Yeah, I know. 1990s technology. So this I'm a little less worried about. Here, see if I can, because this is just plastic and it's meant to be outside anyway. Like I said, I'm pretty sure that is the underpan. And so what I was seeing is I've seen housing, another housing. So I think there might actually be two Magna Charge units in here. That's just, I'm guessing, some sort of an insulating sheet that maybe went inside the unit. 1,600 Watt? Volt DC? Interesting. Transformer. Yeah, so someone got really deep into the weeds dissecting these. I don't know if this is maybe because a board fell apart or something. Things fall apart according to Chinua Achebe. So let's see. And I wonder if this means that it's possible that, again, this RAV4 has 120,000 miles on it, 122,000 miles on it. So I wonder if there's a possibility that this also has, let's just say, a modified battery. Things are just falling out of here. Now I know this is just probably, some of it is, this is a super light bus bar, by the way. I wouldn't trust it to hold more than maybe 25 amps. But yeah, I wonder if it's possible that someone upgraded the battery. I mean, I know a lot of people tended to refresh, but some of these components look like they're possibly battery components with like voltage leads for some sort of a BCM and maybe temperature monitoring. Can we get a crane shot? Can we get a crane shot? All right. Hopefully this is a better view. I mean, I'm assuming some of this stuff is, this is like a flexible bus bar or like a grounding connection. There's a similar thing that I have in the Ford Rangers, and one of them is corroded all the way through. So I'm just guessing that some of these things are organized, but with loose screws, I don't know if I should just put them all into a single container. Let Jod sort them out. Yeah, it's just loose. And I don't know, I'll put the fuses in there as well. Yeah, because some of these just look like battery cable connections. Yeah, this is definitely, someone was diving deep into these to try and work on them. All right, this is what I was going to need two hands for, and I still dropping stuff. This is some sort of maybe a barrel. All right, yeah, actually, all of this just looks like internal battery retaining. I'm gonna duck down really quick because I assumed this had the battery in it. There's still a battery box down there, but yeah, these all look like internal sort of bushings and clamps and terminal fittings for inside of a battery box, right? These aren't components from a Magna Charge unit. At least I don't think they are. I mean, some of these are clearly, I think, off of the Magna Charge unit itself. And that's, I think, maybe what some of these partitions were meant for, right? I think this was maybe more of a case thing or a battery box thing. And then these looser, smaller screws or case screws or something from within the Magna Charge unit itself. But this also means that that other unit I'm not going to have to tear apart to see what this this input power lead goes to. So we already have one exposed here and removed out, so I can actually just kind of diagnose without tearing that other unit apart. And then this, oh, okay, so this transformer is just loose. Oh, ADHD kicking in. All right, is that a jack? Yeah, I think that's the jack. The other one has some fusees, spare, or not a spare, first aid kit, I believe. So, yeah, these are definitely lived with EVs. So, I mean, you're not going to get a 20-year-old EV that doesn't have some character to it. I think the Ranger electrics might be a little bit different simply because they were mostly sold as commercial units. So those ones I think are going to be more likely to be just a standard stock, nothing changed, nothing modified. Again, this all seems like it's internal from within the battery, so I would not be surprised. Oh my God, you're tearing me apart, cat. I would not be surprised to find out that this white RAV4 is no longer running the stock NIM battery. Because as far as I know, if you're going to tear it apart at that point, right, I mean, you wouldn't tear it apart to refresh the NIM cells. And this is one of those things where there's a lot of information on this online, but just the way NIM chemistry works, it can sit for a very long time, and the battery cell itself will not degrade, but you can refresh it. People call it waking it up or whatever, using a extremely low amperage current into the battery to basically wake it up. And you can restore a decent amount of capacity, probably 70, 80, 90% of the original capacity, simply by refreshing the NIM cells. And so, yeah, one of the big challenges I had with the Ford Rangers were that the cells were all removed. So I had no reference points in terms of rebuilding the battery, nothing that I could work with, right? So the batteries hadn't been updated, so nobody had added a BMS already. And then and none of the wiring was there, none of the cabling, none of the bus bars, nothing to reference. The voltage hadn't been spoofed, right? So the Ford Rangers will use a spoof board to basically trick the computer and lie to it about the cells and the voltage. All right, so I just gave up. I dumped some stuff on the ground. Go ahead and sue me, Toyota RAV4 cabal. Yeah. This is where I should also add that caveat of, working on high voltage. Basically, anytime you see orange, right, you're dealing with high voltage. And even if the current isn't necessarily that high, it doesn't take that much in terms of amperage with voltage to do you in. So obviously, when we start talking about tearing batteries apart or rebuilding high voltage batteries, you're talking about some fairly dangerous things that you need to take a lot of precautions with. And so these, like I said, these are basically screw downs within the battery case. And I'm going to run in some footage I took when Trajectory EV was still open and operating. I had some footage of inside they were refreshing the cells on one of these RAV4 EVs. Unfortunately, they've closed. They opened a retail shop, but that looks like it's closed as well. I might try to reach out to them and just see if they're still around, or if they still have inventory, or who they sold it off to, because they might actually have some parts and components that would, because they were specializing in the RAV4 EV and the Ford Ranger electric, and so they had a lot of these older components. So this is just an empty box, I guess. And so, let's see. Still more DC leads and terminal leads. Now, again, I was told that these had a 200 amp bus, which would be more than sufficient given the power on these RAV4 EVs was actually fairly modest. Like I said, it's about half as powerful as the Ford Ranger Electric, which itself was not all that powerful. The Ranger Electric has an induction motor though, so it's a little bit torquier, and it has a peak power rating that's more dictated by the battery, but up to about 100 kilowatt. Whereas my understanding is the RAV4 EVs were pretty much capped peak output at about 50 kilowatt. So a little button, it looks like. Yeah, this would actually probably go on one of the chargers. And this is the same or similar sort of mounting plate bracket on the back. I don't know if it's stock. I mean, it would be odd for me for it to be offset like this. But maybe if that's how the screw holes on the unit fit, and that's the only way to evenly distribute the weight. Distribute as opposed to distribute. You say potato, I say distribute. So I'm being a little bit cautious here. I could put my gloves on, but I'm relying pretty heavily on my tactile senses. Yeah. Yeah, this is, I wonder if this is a Hall sensor, maybe. Yeah, so all right. And then let's see. Yeah, so I'm hoping one of the unit on the bottom is actually fully intact. I'm not sure that it is. And I think this goes to this top unit. Well, we'll see. I'm going to put this heavy part back down there too. And I don't know what's in this box. So, like I said, it has an address on it. Oh, this is a motor mount? I don't even know if this is for the Toyota. It's a polyurethane bushing and motor mount. So, yeah, I don't even... this could have been for a different project. You shouldn't need necessarily a motor mount unless maybe there is a specific car part that's in common. It could be something for like a power steering rack, I suppose. Maybe if they just reused a part off the shelf for that. And then, so this is completely loose. This is the power coming in, distributed. Yeah, green going to ground, but then, you know, white is also sharing this ground. So I don't know if that's normal for a 240 volt dedicated to just have neutral and ground be the same. And then again, based on my understanding now that was it NEMA 1030 was that is supposed to have a hot neutral. If it's a shared neutral ground, I don't know if that would affect that circuit at all. And I don't know where those hot leads go. Like, I mean, they're here, but I don't know where they go on. I'm guessing maybe here is where the terminals screw down, and then these go into the unit as well, and they're both yellow. So, but yeah, just within the unit, I'm guessing these would would hook up to something. Okay, so more than you needed to know about that Magna Charge base there. All right, and then this was one of the things that I saw exposed, and so I was a little bit worried about this PCB board. I don't want it in a hot car, but also I don't want it open and exposed to the sun. And then just based on this, I'm seeing these LEDs here. These look like the LEDs that are on the upper end of the unit and light up depending on what the status is. So this all probably sinks into this unit somewhere. Almost like a glorified computer case, like I said. So I'm gonna find a place to put this where this PC board won't get scratched up or damaged. I'll put this with the transformer. I think that could be a capacitor. I'm not 100% sure. All right, and then here's internal on the case, on the base of the case here. Again, I'm kind of feeling to make sure that this isn't sharp on any of the edges. This is one of the plugins that goes into the PCB board, so that's probably how you would orient it, just plugging it in here. Woof. And then actually this unattached? No. Oh boy. All right, so I'm gonna start moving this stuff out. Container here. Some more small items to go into that container. I'm trying not to lose any screws, and I think I've found all the small ones, all the small case screws. I have like bags. I used to build PCs. I have bags of these different types of screws. So coarse, fine. See, probably find something in there that will work. Okay. Oh, this is meant to cover this, and these screws are in place, so that's good. Yeah, I'll just try to get all of this in here. I don't know if this is a complete battery pack. Like I said, the thing that this indicates to me is that whatever is in the battery pack now is not the original NIM cells. And people were getting pretty spicy with their battery conversions back in the day. LFP was on the scene in terms of battery conversions even 15 years ago. The problem is almost all of the cells that you would get at that point in time, you could very rarely get anything that was like an aluminum prismatic cell. It was almost always nylon. And so when with the modern lithium iron phosphate cells, when you see a metal case, the whole compression component is a little bit less crucial because the case itself provides a lot of force on the electrodes. So there will still be swelling, especially in the sort of belly of the battery cell, but it won't be nearly as bad as what you would see in those older nylon LFP cells, prismatic cells, where they were, they would just completely explode if they were left uncompressed and you did any sort of high C rate charge or discharge. All right, so here's the little tote. Oh, grab bag. Like I said, I think this is a capacitor. Yeah, I really don't know, unless the unit just wasn't working, I just don't know what there would be to gain. Ooh, and this is scorched. This is a plastic. I'm wondering, this looks like actually maybe the housing for that. What I thought was a capacitor. Something like this, which means maybe something did blow out. Maybe it goes in like this. No. So your guess is as good as mine. I really don't want to take apart a completed unit like this if it's working, just to see how this would go back together again. That's really not something I would want to do. All right. I'm trying to, these wires are kind of caught, so oh, it's not even, so it's not actually caught on there. Yeah, so this is the empty unit, and it's got some dangling components, and it looks like this is actually the same build date as the other one, or similar, April to June 2002, and this might actually be loose, so coming out on its own weight. That's not ideal. Yeah. And some of these parts do feel like they're a little bit sharp. And there's a huge honking, I just saw 450 volt on it, capacitor in there. Which also, I'm not as worried about it right now, but I might get my voltage meter to check, because there are some bare open buses on that, and capacitors can actually hold energy for a very long time, so be super cautious about that. And unfortunately, I think I found the truth of the rear bumper charger. All right, let me get this other, see if this is just, of course, there's a PCB in there. So this is the outer case. And then hopefully nothing got too dinged up on this. Someone cut a wire off of here, E4. So if that needed to be reconnected, that would have to be like soldered or something, maybe. Just a button on the back. So interesting. I'm gonna put it with the other PCB. I haven't seen circuits like this since my brother and I used to raid Radio Shack. So this is what the cable, it looks like, in the back is. So it's almost like, my assumption now is they were keeping one of these Magna Charge units in the trunk and then just plugging it in, and then you could leave everything locked up and just plug into the rear, and then you'd have the paddle going out and feed into the front, would be my guess. I mean, I can't think of any other reason why it would just run an extension cord through the bumper like that. All right. And then this is a shame. So this is one of the paddles, and then maybe the paddle is cooked. I don't know. This is actually, I don't know. It's, the other one kind of rotated freely, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. This one is a lot more resistance, but yeah, this is cut really short on this handle. I feel like if you're going to cut a cable like this, unless this paddle is done, I would want it to be cut farther up the cable somewhere. And then this, I can't tell if this is another housing from, could be inside the Magna Charge unit, or again, this could be maybe an undercarriage like vent, like fan vent, or it could actually go into the battery itself. but it's another heavier metal component. Yeah, this other unit here then looks like it could function. And then, yeah, this does look like a standard, I can't tell if you'll see it here, but this does look like a standard wall hook that's offset, and so it screws in offset and then is centered on the weight of the unit. So I'm going to move this paddle out of the way. Ugh. Yeah, I mean, and this one has been kind of spliced and diced too. You can kind of see on the bottom end there, it looks like some wiring coming in and out. Hopefully that doesn't affect anything too badly, but this is just standard cable conduit, and actually this is good. So I had already showed in another project video that I have a 200 amp, 225 amp square D wall box, right, for running a circuit board out of a to run basically 200 amp service out of, and this would pair up nicely, I think, with that unit. This is a very short lead though, so I would literally need to place this, I mean, very, very close to that unit. But if this one is working, which it might or might not be, I'll have to test that out. Then that would be an option. And then this again here. And so actually what's missing too, like I said, that other head was cut off. That other head was cut off, and then this paddle doesn't, there's no cable to connect that head to the unit. So that's literally just a Magna Charge unit with no no way to actually power the paddle. So so it looks like maybe I have 2.5 Magna Charge units. And then I'm going to grab some more of these loose screws that are here toward the back. And then put them in that container. So yeah, so I think I don't like carrying this around like it is right now, just because it, like I said, it's smooth all around and it's enough weight that you don't have purchase. What? But yeah, I mean, it looks like the unit is complete, a little scuffed up, a little damaged, but another Toyota unit. And so if this one works, then, and the other one works, and it looks like I have two working Magna Charge units, which I can then, were you rolling in the dirt? Yeah? Oh, okay. Yeah. Now you're gonna make biscuits on my face? Don't do that. So I'll figure out a way to move this without damaging it too much. Like I said, I don't know what it weighs. Maybe more than 60 pounds. Something like that. Oh, there goes the paddle. I don't know about you, but I think that was enough junk in the trunk for one episode. Yeah, I'll let you know. I'm going to do some more investigating. Let me know what you think of this, having seen it. Like I said, this just looks like a means of being able to, again, I'd mentioned it in the other video. If you're going to road trip or travel in something like this Toyota RAV4 EV, unless you add a J1772 style charger to it or some sort of a DC charging option, you're not going to be able to use the public charging infrastructure. And so you basically have to take one of these travel units with you. The one that I would love to find though, and I'm guessing maybe they were all crushed, is GM with the EV1, they had a 110 volt Magna Charge unit that like fit into the cubby of the, I think it was the frunk. Something like that would be ideal as a travel charger, because if you're going to do something like that, you're just going to be overnight charging. You're not making great time with 240 volt no matter what. So, and then I think TK might have mentioned something that there's a way to power the Magna Charge unit with a J1772, and I've seen boxes like that before that work the other way, and then you can basically plug it into the charger, and then that charger, because all a level 2 AC charger is basically AC, and if it can convert that into AC that's usable by the Magna Charge unit, you basically can then charge on public charging networks, but you basically plug in the box, which then plugs into the Magna Charge unit that you're carrying with you, and then that Magna Charge unit is what you use to charge your car. So yeah, like I said, I'd love to hear what you think, and then I guess maybe, I don't know when I'm gonna get to the point of feeling comfortable pulling the battery, but yeah, let me know what you think is in the battery in the battery box. Do you think it's likely that they tried to update it, or do you think that they just have spare parts from inside a RAV4 EV battery and it's still the original NIM cells? So but anyway, I gotta finish finding a place for these, and like I said, I'm a little bit worried about that exposed large capacitor, and just find a place to get this stuff out of the way, so that it's not in here where it will bake, but it's not where some little munchkin can get into it and ruin it. So as always, thank you for watching. What are you doing? You're gonna kill me. You're gonna kill me. Is this your car now? Is this Ursula's RAV4 EV? It's older than you are by like decades, because you're not that old at all. No. And you're still making biscuits on my arm. Why you make biscuits on my arm? My arm is not biscuit makers.